Isaac Newton, the man who changed the universe. Have you ever felt like you were meant for something greater? Have you ever faced struggles, doubts, or failures, wondering if you could ever make a difference? If so, then Isaac Newton's story is for you. Because Newton wasn't born into greatness. He wasn't rich. He wasn't privileged. He wasn't even expected to survive infancy. But through relentless curiosity, determination, and an unshakable belief in the power of knowledge, Newton unlocked the secrets of the universe. This is more than a history lesson. This is a roadmap to genius, perseverance, and personal transformation. So, if you've ever doubted yourself, remember this. The mind that changed the world started as just another struggling soul. And so can yours. Let's begin. Childhood and early struggles. A boy destined for greatness, Isaac Newton was born on the 25th of December, 1642, in Woolsthorpe, England. But from the very beginning, his life was filled with challenges. 1, he was born prematurely and was not expected to survive. Imagine that she was so small and weak at birth that no one thought he would live. But against the odds, he did. And just like that, the world had no idea that this fragile baby would one day redefine science and mathematics forever. 2, his father died before he was born. Newton never met his father. His mother remarried, but instead of raising him, she left him behind to be raised by his grandparents. Can you imagine what that does to a child? He grew up feeling abandoned, isolated, and different. But here's where the lesson comes in. Pain fuels purpose. Instead of breaking him, Newton's loneliness became his greatest strength that made him think deeply, question everything, and become obsessed with understanding the universe. 3, he was a terrible farmer, but a brilliant thinker. Newton's mother wanted him to be a farmer. So, as a teenager, she pulled him out of school to work on the family farm. But there was one problem: he was terrible at it. He would leave the animals unattended. He would get lost in thought while working. He spent more time building gadgets than farming. Instead of following the path others wanted for him, Newton chose his own path that made all the difference. And then everything changed because someone saw his potential and gave him a chance. Coming up next, the Cambridge years where greatness began. Newton wasn't supposed to go to university, but one decision changed his entire life. In the next chapter, we explore how he got into Cambridge University despite his humble background, how he studied obsessively, often forgetting to eat or sleep, the moment when the Great Plague forced him into isolation, which led to his biggest discoveries. Sometimes setbacks are just setups for greatness. The Cambridge years, where greatness began. Every great journey has a turning point. For Newton, that moment came when he was given the chance to study at Cambridge University. But let's be clear, he wasn't handed this opportunity on a silver platter. He wasn't born into wealth. He didn't have powerful connections. He had to fight for his education. And when he finally got into Trinity College, Cambridge, he wasn't a star student. He was an outsider, a quiet observer, a thinker lost in his own world. But what people didn't realize was that inside Newton's mind, a revolution was brewing. From ordinary to extraordinary, how Newton transformed himself at Cambridge. Newton became obsessed with learning. While other students focused on memorizing old ideas, Newton questioned everything. While others were satisfied with what Aristotle and other ancient scholars taught, Newton wanted to go deeper, to discover new truths. And so he did something brilliant. He started teaching himself advanced mathematics, things no one else was studying. He dived into Descartes, Kepler, and Galileo's works, absorbing everything he could. He developed his own methods of solving problems. He wrote thousands of pages of notes, full of ideas that no one had ever seen before. He was no longer just a student, was becoming a pioneer. But then, just as he was on the verge of discovery, the world was thrown into chaos. The Great Plague. When isolation led to genius, in 1665, the Great Plague hit England, Cambridge shut down, and Newton was forced to leave the university and return home. For most people, this would have been a disaster. But for Newton, this was the greatest opportunity of his life. For the next 2 years, while isolated at his childhood home in Woolsthorpe, Newton entered a period of intense, uninterrupted thinking. And in this time, he made some of the greatest discoveries in human history. This is proof that hard times don't have to stop you, they can push you toward your greatest moments. Because in that period of isolation, Newton unlocked the secrets of the universe. And one moment in particular became legendary. Coming up next, the falling apple. When gravity was discovered, one day, as Newton sat in his garden, something happened that would change science forever. He saw an apple fall from a tree. But unlike everyone else, he asked the right question. Why do objects always fall straight down? That simple thought led him to one of the greatest scientific discoveries of all time, gravity. In the next chapter, we explore the truth behind the apple story, how Newton developed the theory of gravity, why this discovery changed the world forever, the falling apple. When gravity was discovered, have you ever had a moment where everything just clicked? Where one simple question changed the way you saw the world forever? For Isaac Newton, that moment happened under an apple tree. Now, let's clear something up. No apple actually hit Newton's head. That's just a myth. But what really happened is far more powerful, because Newton didn't just see the apple fall, he asked the right question. Why did it fall straight down? Why didn't it move sideways or float up? Could the same force pulling the apple down also affect the moon, the planets, and everything in the universe? And with that simple moment of curiosity, Newton set out to discover one of the most important scientific laws of all time, the law of universal gravitation. How Newton unlocked the secrets of gravity. Newton didn't just guess how gravity worked. He spent years developing a theory that would explain why objects fall to the ground. Oh, why the planets orbit the sun. Why the moon doesn't crash into the earth. His breakthrough idea? Gravity isn't just a force pulling apples to the ground, it's the same force keeping planets in motion. The earth pulls objects down. The moon is pulled toward earth, but its sideways motion keeps it in orbit instead of crashing. The same force controlling an apple's fall controls the motion of the entire universe. This was revolutionary. For centuries, people believed the heavens and earth were governed by separate forces. Newton proved that the same laws apply everywhere, from the smallest object to the largest planet. The mathematics behind the magic, creating calculus, gravity was just one piece of the puzzle. To fully explain how objects move, Newton needed a completely new kind of mathematics. So, what did he do? He invented calculus. Let that sink in for a moment. Most people struggle to learn calculus. Newton literally created it from scratch. This new form of math allowed him to calculate how fast objects accelerate when falling, describe the motion of planets with pinpoint accuracy. Lay the foundation for nearly all modern physics and engineering. This is proof that when the right problem meets the right mind, history is made. Newton didn't just solve a puzzle, he rewrote the rules of reality itself. Coming up next, the Principia, the book that changed everything. After years of working in isolation, Newton was ready to share his discoveries with the world. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Newton published Principia Mathematica, one of the greatest scientific books ever written. Why his 3 laws of motion revolutionized physics forever. How he proved that science wasn't just philosophy, it was a precise mathematical truth. Newton wasn't just thinking about the universe anymore. He was defining how it worked. The Principia, the book that changed everything. There are books that educate. There are books that inspire. And then there are books that change the world forever. In 1687, Isaac Newton published one of the most important scientific works of all time, Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, the mathematical principles of natural philosophy. This book was not just a collection of ideas, it was a revolution. It redefined how we understand motion, how we predict forces, how we describe the universe with mathematical precision. Newton didn't just write a book, he created the foundation of modern physics. The three laws of motion, rules that govern reality. Inside Principia, Newton presented three simple but powerful laws that explain how everything moves. One, the law of inertia. An object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest, unless acted upon by an external force. This is why a spaceship can travel through space forever without slowing down. There's nothing to stop it. This is why a ball won't move unless you kick it. Force is required to start motion. The law of acceleration. Force equals mass times acceleration. F equals m. This simple equation explains everything from car crashes to rocket launches. It tells us how much force is needed to change the speed of an object. 3, the law of action and reaction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is why planes can fly. Air pushes against the wings, and the wings push back. This is why rockets launch into space. They push exhaust downward, and the exhaust pushes them upward. These 3 laws were so powerful that they allowed scientists, engineers, and inventors to build the modern world. From bridges to buildings, engines to airplanes, everything we create follows Newton's laws. But Newton wasn't just explaining motion, he was also proving something far bigger. The universe is mathematical. Newton's greatest realization. Before Newton, people saw the universe as mysterious and unpredictable. Some thought the planets moved because of divine intervention. But Newton proved something extraordinary. The universe follows precise mathematical laws. This meant that the same equations that describe a falling apple also describe the motion of planets. The movement of stars, moons, and comets is not random, it can be calculated. The universe is not chaotic, it is beautifully ordered and predictable. Newton had not just explained how things move, he had shown that science could predict the future. This realization was so powerful that it laid the foundation for modern physics, engineering, and space exploration. And it proved that one person with a relentless mind could uncover the secrets of the universe. But Newton's story wasn't over yet, because soon he would leave the world of science and step into power, politics, and the pursuit of even greater mysteries. Coming up next, Newton, the man of power and mystery. Newton wasn't just a scientist that became a powerful political leader, a secret investigator of hidden knowledge, a man who explored alchemy, religion, and the mysteries of the Bible. In the next chapter, we uncover how Newton became the master of the royal mint, fighting corruption in England. His secret obsession with alchemy, why he believed he could turn metal into gold. His deep studies of the Bible and his search for the hidden codes of the universe. Newton's greatest discoveries were in science, but his greatest secrets were in the unseen world of power, mystery, and the supernatural. Newton, the man of power and mystery. Isaac Newton was not just a scientist. He was a man of many facets, a mathematician, a physicist, a philosopher, and even a seeker of hidden knowledge. Most people know him for his scientific genius, but what they don't realize is that Newton spent much of his life chasing deeper, mysterious secrets that had nothing to do with gravity or motion. He stepped into political power. He became obsessed with alchemy, pursuit of turning metal into gold. He studied the Bible and ancient prophecies, believing he could uncover the secrets of God's plan for humanity. Newton's mind was too big to be contained by science alone. And in his later years, he would walk a path filled with power, ambition, and hidden truths. Newton, and the Royal Mint, fighting corruption. In 1696, Newton shocked everyone by accepting a position that had nothing to do with science. He became the warden of the Royal Mint, responsible for overseeing England's money supply. But this wasn't just an honorary title. Newton took the job seriously. At the time, England's economy was in crisis. Coins were being clipped and counterfeited. The nation was flooded with fake money. Criminals were getting rich by defrauding the system. Newton declared war on corruption. He personally investigated counterfeiters, going undercover to collect evidence. He interrogated criminals and used his brilliant mind to track complex forgeries. He even sent several counterfeiters to execution, showing no mercy to those who threatened England's economy. This was not the Newton of the laboratory. This was a ruthless enforcer of justice. Through his efforts, the Royal Mint was restored to order, and England's financial system became stronger than ever. Newton had conquered science. Now, he had mastered politics and law. But behind closed doors, he was chasing an even bigger mystery, ancient pursuit of alchemy. Newton and alchemy, the secret quest for gold. For over 30 years, Newton conducted secret alchemical experiments. Why? Because he believed that metals could be transformed lead into gold. A hidden philosopher's stone could unlock the mysteries of nature. Our alchemy contained ancient wisdom that modern science had yet to understand. Now, to be clear, Newton was not a fool. He wasn't some magician chasing myths. Instead, he believed that alchemy was a hidden science, one that could reveal deeper truths about matter, energy, and even immortality. He wrote over 1 million words on alchemy, more than he ever wrote on physics. He studied ancient texts, convinced that they contained forgotten knowledge. He kept his alchemical research a secret, fearing that others would see him as a madman. Newton didn't just want to understand the universe, he wanted to control it. And his search for hidden knowledge didn't stop at alchemy, because in his final years, he turned his attention to the greatest mystery of all the Bible, Newton and prophecy. His search for the end of time, Newton wasn't just a scientist that was deeply religious. But unlike most, he didn't just read the Bible for spiritual guidance. He believed the Bible contained hidden mathematical codes that could reveal the future of humanity, the date of the end of the world, the secret laws of God that govern reality. Newton's study of the Bible led him to shocking conclusions. He predicted that the world would not end before the year 2060. He believed that Jesus would return to establish a divine kingdom. He thought the ancient Temple of Solomon held secrets lost to time. Newton saw science and faith as one to him. The universe was a grand design, crafted by the ultimate mathematician, God himself. While others argued that science and religion should be separate, Newton believed that God created everything according to precise laws, and it is our duty to discover them. His faith did not limit his genius, it inspired it. And so, until his final days, Newton continued to study, question, and seek deeper understanding. Newton's legacy, a mind that shaped the world. On the 31st of March, 1727, at the age of 84, Isaac Newton passed away, but his ideas, discoveries, and legacy would never die. He had revealed the laws of motion that govern the universe, discovered gravity, allowing us to predict planetary motion, invented calculus, changing the future of mathematics and physics, reformed England's financial system and stopped corruption, pursued deeper knowledge in alchemy, religion, and the mysteries of existence. Today, Newton is remembered as one of the greatest minds in human history. But here's the real lesson from his story. He wasn't born a genius. Money, he wasn't handed success. He faced isolation, setbacks, and failures. But he never stopped thinking, questioning, and pushing forward. And neither should you. Because if Newton could go from a struggling farm boy to the man who changed science forever, then imagine what you are capable of. The universe is full of mysteries. And like Newton, you have the power to seek, question, and discover something extraordinary. So never stop learning, thinking, growing, because your greatest discovery might be just one question away. Thank you for watching. If this deep dive into Isaac Newton's life and genius inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload of what part of Newton's story impacted